everyone, this is Annalise from Calvert Library, and I would like to welcome you to another Don't Try This at Home video. Today we're really lucky to have one of our community partners, the No Time to Cook cooking school in Solomon's Island. They're here to share a really cool recipe for macaron cookies. So I hope that you're ready to do a little cooking, and let's see what they've got for us today.
So the first thing we're going to do, also I wanted to mention, if you don't have super fine sugar, because sometimes it's hard to find, you can take regular sugar and just put it in your food processor and really grind it up, and that will make super fine sugar. But you can sometimes find it at a specialty store. It's not always available at a regular grocery store. So the first thing we're going to do, and the nice thing about these cookies is because we're using almond flour, they are gluten-free. So that's a plus too. So we are going to take our almond flour, and we're going to take our powdered sugar, and we're going to put it in a food processor. Hopefully everyone has a food processor. If you don't, I would just use your blender. And you don't want to overblend this because you don't want it to turn into a paste. The reason we're doing all of this is you can see how smooth the cookies are on top. And so you get that smoothness by making sure that everything is ground super thin. Now on the almond flour, be sure that you don't get the kind that has the shell in it, because it's going to have little black pieces that are in it and you're going to have to sift it out. So we're going to go ahead and pulse this. And you
we just want to make sure that we get everything out. You're going to take it out of here. We're going to pour it into a sifter. All of your stuff out of there. And if I'm going too fast, please tell Gwen and I can slow down.
Are they always made with almond flour?
Yes, they're always, the question was, are they always made with almond flour? And yes, they're always made with almond flour. And they actually taste delicious with almond flour, so it's a good thing. So you just want to sift this. And even though, you know, we just ground it up and you thought it was super light, you can look at the difference. Hopefully they can see how much softer it looks. Now don't get rid of your sifter because we're going to sift it again. We just want to get all those big chunks out of there. Now, just because there's big chunks in there, just take this and smash it down, because sometimes they just form chunks, but you can smash it down. And any little seedy things you have in there, you just want to throw those away. So we are done with our food processor. You can move that off to the side. Okay, so that's going to sit there, and you're going to sift again. Now, the one thing I like to do when I'm baking is I like to check off as I go to make sure I haven't skipped any steps. Now, you can go a little slower. Okay, I can go a little slower. The other thing I like to do is I like to make a template, and the instructions had on there for you to make a template, and I'm not sure if you did or not, but I always make a template, and it looks like this. And I just, depending on the size of the macarons that you want, can they see that? It's hard to see. Depending on the size of the macarons you want, you just make a little outline with circles. Set your oven to 300 degrees convection. If you don't have convection, then go ahead and just set it like on 325 regular. But for these kind of cookies, you do want to have that nice air blowing in your oven so that you get that nice finish on your cookies that looks like that. Hopefully everyone has a template. If you don't have the template, it's okay. You can eyeball it. I just like to have the template. And so I make my template using any size circles that you want, and you just put it on there. That template goes on the bottom. Then you put a piece of parchment paper on top of the template, because you're going to put your cookies on your parchment paper, and when we're done, we're going to pull the template out. So if you make a large batch of cookies, you only need one template because you can pull it out and move it from tray to tray. But I always think it's helpful to have the template because it makes them, you know, you're going to fill your cookies, right? So you want them, like, see how inconsistent these are, and I had a template. So in the end, you're going to want to take 2 cookies the same size, fill them, and put one on top of the other. Got it? And put one on top of the other. So you really want them to be as consistent as possible. So that's how the template happens, or that's why we use it. And it's just something to make it easier, but if you don't have one, that's okay too. Okay, so the next thing, so you want to check off as you go everything you've done. So we ground our confectionery sugar, we sifted it. We are now going to put our egg whites. You want to make sure that your bowl is dry and clean. You're going to take your egg whites and you're going to put them in your mixer. And since we're doing a half batch, sometimes it's hard to get it to the bottom of your mixer, but just let it go. So we're going to turn this on. We're going to beat these egg whites on medium speed until they're frothy. Now, frothy is different than stiff. Frothy is when it starts to be bubbly. So you're going to turn it on.
You put it on medium speed.
Oops. I just
So it's probably a little hard to hear me while that's running. The key to having these successful cookies is to have the patience. So frothy is when it starts to
bubble, but you can't rush it. And if you rush it, your egg whites aren't going to be stiff, and that's really what gives the cookies the little rise. You can see that these cookies have like little feet on them, the little bottom feet. Yeah, there you go. And that's why you want your egg whites. Now, if you overdo your egg whites, they're going to crack on top. So we have people that overdo them also. So just have to be a little careful. Okay. I want to show you what frothy looks like. So this is frothy. Can they see? See frothy? Got little bubbles in it, so that's frothy. Okay. So we have frothy egg whites. You're going to add your cream of tartar. Now, the thing about your cream of tartar is your frothy egg whites, your cream of tartar might get stuck on the side. So keep an eye on it and make sure your egg whites pick it up, because if your egg whites don't pick up your cream of tartar, you want to use your spatula to push it in there, because it's important. My cream of tartar is up on the side, so I am going to push it down into the egg whites, because the cream of tartar helps the egg whites stiffen. So make sure you push that down in there. Now it's got it. So we did the frothy, we added the cream of tartar, we increased it, and you're going to start to see little tracks. And tracks are, you've got frothy that has bubbles. And then tracks are, you're going to start to see it looks like a fan, like the blades on a fan. Still frothy, still has bubbles. And when you see lines, can they still hear me, Riley? Oh. Is there something on the lens? Better. Okay. So now I've gone from frothy till I can see where I have little lines where the blades have been, and I'm gonna start to add my sugar. Now you don't wanna dump all of your sugar in at the same time. We're gonna gradually add this sugar, a little bit, about a third at a time. I just like pour it slowly as it's going. So you're gonna turn it back on. To medium high. You should see little lines, and then you're gonna start to add your sugar slowly. And let it completely mix in, and then add more. Let that mix in, add more. Try to pour it towards the center so it doesn't go up on the sides of the bowl and not get incorporated. And if it does, just take your spatula, turn your mixer off, and push it down inside. You want to make sure you get all your sugar in there. Got it. So my sugar is moved up the sides of the bowl, so I'm just going to take my spatula and push it down a little bit so that it gets into the eggs. If you're making a larger batch, it'll eventually reach it, but on the smaller batches, you want to make sure that it's incorporated. So you just push it down. Because when you're adding any ingredients as your mixer's going, it'll, you know, it just adheres to the side of the bowl. Okay. And now you're going to let this go for about 5 minutes. And I am going to set my timer. You want to do both, right? You want to look at and keep an eye on what it looks like, but then you also want to set your timer because you think 5 minutes is fairly quick and you'd be surprised how long 5 minutes is. But we talked earlier about not overcooking your egg whites, so it's kind of good to set a timer for 5 minutes and keep an eye on it so you can see what it looks like. If it's getting too stiff, then you don't go the whole 5 minutes, but if it's not, but it just gives you a good estimate. And at this point, if I'm making a large batch of cookies and I want it to be 2 different colors, I would add my food dye after I have my combined all my ingredients. But we're only making a half batch, so I'm gonna add my food dye now. And you only need a couple of drops. We're gonna make orange cookies. Yesterday I made pink. We're gonna make orange. Okay. You also want your food dye to go all the way down. So if your food dye is up on the sides, you want to push that down. There we go. My. They're getting smoother and shiny, but they're not stiff yet. And stiff is when you lift it up and your meringue stays straight up in the air. It doesn't flop over on itself. So we got a little bit more to go. Does anyone have any questions or they're good? Okay. We have about 2 minutes left. keep an eye on it. Mine are shiny, but they're not stiff yet. They're getting there. We're down to 1 minute. And I'm going to check mine.
They're not standing up yet. They're still dripping. So they are not ready.
Now they're getting there. And with the humidity, sometimes it takes a little bit longer for them to get stiff. If your house is really humid. So my timer went off, but I stopped a few times and they're not quite ready. So I'm gonna let mine keep on going. If yours are stiff and standing up on their own, turn your blender off. Because if you overcook them, if you over stiffen them, it's not gonna turn out.
See what mine looks like. Now mine are still pretty runny.
They look like. No, mine are still running. Turn it on high. And they're going to get shiny too. So it's not just stiff, it's like shiny.
Standing up a little bit.
There's being ornery today.
They are. But that could also be the humidity.
It's pretty humid out today.
Yeah. All that rain that we had. Yeah. We're going to let it go another minute.
Better.
Take this off of here. There we go. There you go. So that took a long time.
Shiny.
Yeah, it is shiny. And it did take a long time, so you have to be patient. And it's because we've had so much rain and it's so humid outside, so you can't force them. Okay. So you want to save as much as you can. Put this over here. Okay. So see how shiny and pretty they are? Everyone see that? And they're stiff. And you can turn them upside down. Got it? There you go. Nice and stiff. See how they're sticking? Much better. So if they don't get to that point, you're going to have a challenge with them rising. So you really do want to be patient. Hopefully everybody's have gotten to this same point. Okay, so now we're going to take and we're going to sift again our dry ingredients. We're going to do about a third of it at a time. Put a little bit in there. This is our second sift. And this is so that they come out nice and smooth. So we're just going to sift again. That's probably good. Now you want to fold this because you don't want to kill your egg whites, right? So you're going to go around in a circle and down through the middle and lift it up from the bottom. Make sure you get all your stuff on the side, and you're going to roll these in. You're folding. You're not mixing harshly. You're just folding until you incorporate your batter.
Can you wait for people who need to mix more?
Sure. I know people are having challenges, so yes, keep on mixing. So like it said to mix it 5 minutes last night, or when I made them 2 days ago, I didn't even need to go 5 minutes. Today we had to go more like 8 or 9 minutes. So it all depends on the humidity. So yes, take your time and make sure you mix them. I'm adding more. And see these little seeds in there? Those little seeds? I'm going to throw those in the trash because those are going to make little poppings. See the little seeds? So that's why you sift. So this is our second sifting, and we still got some of those seeds. So we're going to throw those away. Add a little bit more. And I'm just taking my time doing this, and I'm going to stir it slowly. So if you're still making your meringue, just let us know when you've caught up. Now I'm going to fold. Once you've incorporated it, then you can add the rest. Okay. Just have a little bit more to go. See all the seeds I have? So that's why you keep sifting these multiple times. Doing that. Take this out so it can cool a little bit. Or I need to add just a dab of I was sticking. Just on my fingers, I just added a little moisture to it. It's really stiff. Okay. My batter is super stiff. I don't know if it's the humidity. I know. I just want to make sure it's going to come out of the piping bag, and I don't know that it will as stiff as this is. And I don't know if I want to add another egg white or just a dab of water to see. Not sure how they're going to turn out with, and it could just be us here. Ask them how stiff theirs is. Is everybody's, mine is coming out really stiff, stiffer than it should. Just want to see how everybody else's is coming out. If they're having the same challenges? If everyone, it should be a soft batter. Like you should be, mine is very stiff. Too stiff. I mean, I'm going to try to pipe them, but I just want to make sure everybody else's isn't the same. Yeah, I'm trying to think of maybe just add some more.
Melissa says hers is good, it will pipe.
Oh, good, okay. If everyone else's will pipe. I have, I can add a little more egg. Let me see if that works. Because mine is too stiff, it's not going to pipe. So maybe just a little more, just a drop of egg white. This might be too much, but.
Things don't always go perfectly in the chef's kitchen.
No, that's why I made a batch ahead of time. I just want to be able to pipe it to show them. And we have the other ones, so mine aren't perfect. There, it's better. There, see much better consistency. That's the consistency that it should be. Very soft, not stiff. Like mine wouldn't have piped. You want them to be able to go through a piping bag. So you want to be able to make like a figure 8 with it. This is much better. There. Now we can go ahead and put them in the piping bag. You can use a number 12 if you're comfortable with piping, then you don't have to use one at all. You can just split the end. But I like to have a little tip in there just because it gives you more control over your piping bag. You want to fold it down. I like to use a mason jar also, but any cup will do. But I usually use like a wide mouth mason jar. And hopefully everybody's is soft enough to pipe. So you're going to put it in, perfect. That's the consistency that it should be. Okay. go. And this is a half batch, so you'll be able to get it all in one piping bag.
Melissa asked, could you show the consistency again of the?
Sure. Oh. See how it's soft? It can get into a piping bag. You want to be, oh, can't see? It's like, it's soft, but mine was way, way, way too stiff. You want to be able for it to get into a piping bag. Let me show you what it looks like inside the bag. Can they see this? See, it's like soft. You'll know the consistency when you can make a figure 8 with your spatula. There we go. It's nice and shiny and smooth. See how it's smooth in there? Oh, they can't see. That's what it should look like. See how it's smooth and it's shiny and it will go through the tip? If it's watery, you don't want that. I'm going to cut your tip off. Let's see. Can we move the, because I feel better piping it like here. Can you move the camera over here? So when you pipe, you want to be over it. This surface was a little too high for me to pipe, so I'm moving it over to here. So you've got your batter in your piping bag. You've got your tip on there, or you're going to clip your tip. You've got your parchment paper, and you've got your little circles. I like to start in the middle. You are going to twist the end of your bag. And if you don't trust yourself, you can just put a baggy tie on there. And you are going to pipe from the top. If you squeeze the bottom, it's like toothpaste, right? It's going to come out the top. So you want to twist the top and press down from the top. You want to hold your piping bag right in the center of your circle. You're not going to go around and around and around. You are going to hold it right in the center of the circle. You're going to twist the top, and you're going to leave it in that spot, and you're going to fill your circle to the edge, like that. Twist it, leave it in that spot, hold it to the edge. Twist it, leave it in the spot, hold it to the edge. So hopefully that's how you're piping. We're not squeezing from the bottom, we're squeezing from the top, and we're not moving our piping bag. It's filling the circle on its own. And you're holding it down in there. Got it? There we go. And you want to make an even number of cookies because it's going to be like an Oreo. You're going to have a top and you're going to have a bottom. And if you have an odd number of cookies, then you just get to test one when it comes out of the oven. And actually, my family enjoys the most not being filled. They're just like little wafers. They're easy to pop in your mouth. See how we're doing it? I'm going to just keep twisting and pushing down from the top. You really don't want any air bubbles. I think I can get one more out of here.
What's the diameter of this? Is that a standard size macaron?
It is. It's a smaller one. I just use, the little cookie cutters that you have? And it's about the size of a quarter. So I just find the cookie cutter that's about the size of a quarter, and I just move it all along the plate. I think I can get another one out of here. A couple more out of here. Yeah, they're supposed to be small and delicate. When they're too big, they don't bake the same. It's okay. I'm going to push it down. There we go. And I might be able to get one more. There's a lot in the tip, so you can really force it down in there and probably get one more.
Can you tell them what you just did if you get an air bubble?
Yeah, if you get an air bubble, it's okay. If you get an air bubble, you just twist it, twist it, twist it, and just keep going. Like if it pops, you just keep going. Look at that. I got another one out of there. I know, you do. Okay, so you got it. All right. Now this is a really important part because you want them to rise and you want them to get little feet on them. So you are going to bang these. And I know depending on, see the little air bubbles that you get, you just want to keep banging until those air bubbles pop. Like I have an air bubble right there, and there's an air bubble, an air bubble. If you don't get those air bubbles out of there, when they rise, they're going to have little nods on them. So you want to bounce them as much as you can. You can also take like a little toothpick and pop them too, but you kind of want them to pop on their own because any touching that you put on those is going to show up when they bake. So if you try to take your finger and touch those, wet your finger a little bit before you touch them because anything that you put on them is going to show up when they bake. So let's see if we got a little, anything with a pointed, there we go. If you bounce them, it should be enough, but there's like a little one there, a little one there. You're just popping these because, there you go. And that was all that I had. So bounce them again so it fills in. See how that filled in? As soon as I bounced them, it filled in whatever I had. Now these are going to sit for about 15 minutes before you pop them in the oven. God knows how mine are going to turn out, but hopefully yours are better. They look perfect. So those are going to sit. You want to set your timer. You can set your timer for 15 minutes, but we're going to look at them. And you'll know they're ready when they, let me move them back. You'll know they're ready when they get a shiny film on top where you can literally touch them. Like if you touched them now, you would leave a mark. They're going to sit here until when you touch them, they don't leave a mark. Sometimes, depending on the humidity of the day, it might take an hour. Sometimes it might take 15 minutes. So yesterday, mine took 15 minutes, so they should be okay. So we're going to let these sit for 15 minutes, and then we're going to pop them in the oven. So in the meantime, we are going to, while those sit for 15 minutes, oh, before I do that, let's go ahead and make our icing. So we'll make our icing, and then we'll fill these. So I'm going to move these to the side. These are going to sit for 15 minutes. We are going to clean your bowl. And then we're going to come back and make our icing, and then we're going to fill the other one. So you want to make sure your bowl is clean because we're going to put heavy whipping cream in here. So I'm just going to rinse out this bowl real quick and come right back. Sure.
Heavy cream you're doing?
Heavy, yeah, we're going to put heavy cream in there. So we had one piping bag. We're going to have another piping bag here. I am going to cut the top off this one and use this one again. So I'm just reusing the lid that I had from my batter. Can you tell, Riley, from the comments, are they as far along as we are? Okay. I'm just going to rinse my tip. I'll be right back. Okay. I rinsed my tip. There's lots and lots of different tip sizes. We just ordered the whole kit here so that we have every size that you can think of. So if you have a hard time like cleaning this out, even just taking a pen, or I usually use a Q-tip to clean out the inside. So you do want it to be clean. Now your icing, you can color your icing the same color that you color your cookies, or you can just leave it white. The other thing you can do, depending on the color, so what we're going to make is a whipped cream. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to make a whipped cream icing, which is less sweet. Sometimes these cookies can be so sweet that you can't eat a lot of them. So this one, you can control the sweetness by how much powdered sugar you put in it. But they are a little sweet, so we're going to do this one. Now, the other kind of icing that you can use, you can take just cream cheese, powdered sugar, and you can take a little bit of preserves. Like if I make the pink cookies, sometimes I'll take raspberry preserves, and I will just with a spatula mix it around in a bowl and pipe that in there. And the raspberry preserves colors and tints the inside. If I'm making a blue or a purple one, I might use some grape preserves. I might use some apricot preserves if I'm making orange ones. So you can flavor them with that too instead of sugar. So I'm going to save you a step. And it says, you know, that you want to do these in separate bowls. But it really, because we're making such a small batch, it works out fine. You don't need to do it in separate bowls. I'm going to put my tip back in here. I don't need this big tip. This is going to work out fine, so put those tips away. So the first thing we're going to do is take our cream cheese, our powdered sugar, and our vanilla, and we are going to put this inside. And you want your cream cheese to be at room temperature. Your powdered sugar. Because otherwise it's just kind of stiff and hard, right? It's always important when you're baking to have your ingredients at room temperature unless your recipe specifically tells you that it needs to stay cold. So, okay, you're going to lock that in place and you're going to mix these things up until they're all well blended together. And then we're going to add our heavy cream. Mine is blended. Hopefully they're where I am. And I'm going to add my heavy cream, which is wonderful stuff. Heavy cream and butter. There's nothing unhealthy about these cookies. Yeah, they're gluten-free. Now you're going to let this go until it stiffens up. Throw this away. While that's mixing, put your tip in there. To get it down, just shake it down. Got your tip in there. Going to have your piping bag. Let that go. You want to get stiff peaks in this too, because you don't want, when you put it in there, to have it run over the sides. You want it to be a little stiff. Let me show you what that looks like. That's pretty good. Okay. The other thing that you can do, oh, that looks so good. I hate to waste it. That was a lot to waste. Yum. It's good stuff. There we go. The other thing is with cream cheese and whipped cream and stuff like that, if you're not going to use it right away, go ahead and put it in the refrigerator, but be sure to bring it out and let it get almost to room temperature before you try to pipe it, or it's going to be so stiff in the bag. Okay, here we go again. So that's nice and stiff. Hopefully yours is that stiff. If not, just keep mixing it until it comes out that stiff. You don't want it to turn into butter because heavy cream will turn into butter, so you don't want that. You just want it nice and stiff. There you go. And also make sure that if you're using the same mixing bowl, that it's super dry, because it won't cream up. Okay. There you go. You can just shake it down like that. And it goes down in there. Now, if you want to, because you haven't baked them yet, you can put this in the refrigerator, or you can just leave it there, but it feels pretty good. You just don't want it to be runny, and so far it's not runny. So we'll look back. We're going to put that off to the side for a second. These are still, they're getting shiny, but they're not quite ready. You can touch them and see they still, so you got to let them sit for a while. Mine aren't ready to put in the oven yet, so I'm going to give those just a couple more minutes. So in the meantime, we will move this. That's our icing for that one. And we will start to pipe these. I had this in the refrigerator, so I'm letting it get to room temperature again. I'm waiting to click the end. So what I want to do here is I want to match similar sizes. Like some of these are smaller. These two look like they go together. These two could go together. So you want to turn them upside down, every other one. Right? So those two will go together. One's kind of big. That looks like it goes together. There we go. It's kind of big. That one goes with that one. You want to just put similar sizes together. That one's kind of big. We'll hold that one. Let's see. This one looks like it goes with that. And the reason what you want to do every other one is to remind yourself you're not filling both sides, you're just filling one side. This one looks like it would go with that. This one will go with this. And we'll go with that. So I have the exact amount. Okay. So now you're going to cut your tip. So you've got every other one turned over. You're going to cut your tip. And again, we're going to pipe from the top. Can they see me okay? You're going to put it right in the middle. And you're going to fill almost to the edge, but not quite to the edge, because you are going to take your top. And these are very delicate cookies, right? So you're going to take your top and you're just going to twist it. Whoops, see how delicate that is? You can break your cookies very easily. You're going to put it down. So we're going to go ahead and fill these. And if you have extra, you can go back. Almost to the edge. You're going to leave a little edge. And depending on how much you want in the center, you don't have to put a lot of filling. And if you wanted to color this batter pink, or if you wanted to add some preserve to it to give it a little bit of flavor, we just flavored it with a little bit of vanilla. You could put food coloring in it. You can add some preserves to it. Oh, if you do use preserves, make sure you use seedless preserves, because they have seeds in them and then they're really hard to get it through the piping bag. Okay, let's see, where can we add more? So I want to use all of it. So it's kind of big. Some here. There we go. And you don't need to use a fancy tip on this because you really can't see it. So then you're just going to very delicately put it on top and twist it so it goes out to the sides. We're not touching the top. We're just twisting the sides. How cute is that? Can you see it? And just move it from side to side till you get it to the edge. Okay. And that's why you want your cookies to be similar sizes, because see, if your top and bottom aren't the same size, they're a little off. And if one of them cracks or you've got a little bit of an imperfection, just turn it upside down. Just turn it over. There you go. Those are picture perfect. And, you know, they're all made from the exact same thing. So even though you color them, sometimes they're all going to taste the same. So sometimes if you really want them to be flavored the same color, you want to go ahead and add those preserves or some type of extract to give it. Really good ones are lemon. If you make a yellow cookie, you can put a little lemon extract in there, give a nice little lemon flavor. The other one that's really popular is to make a purple cookie and use a little bit of lavender flavor in there. Those are a fan favorite. And also the point is, like, these are supposed to be like decorative, so they're supposed to be multi-different colors. And if I make a full batch, I'll divide the batter in half and put 2 different kinds of food coloring in it, and I'll add my food coloring when I'm mixing my egg whites with my batter. There you go. Like that. And then you get a pretty little dish or a plate or something. Let's see what we got here. See how that one's cracked? We're going to turn that over. You can't even tell. And you can stack them on top of each other. That's okay. These will last for days, believe it or not. And actually, you're supposed to put them in the refrigerator overnight. Like, cover them and put them in the refrigerator overnight, and it's supposed to make them taste even better. They don't usually last in my house that long, but that's very pretty. And if you put them on like a cake tray or something like that. So let's look at these. These are getting a nice little, oh, see, now I can touch them and they're not leaving an indentation. Oh, sorry. So now I'm touching these and I'm not getting an indentation. See, like I can touch them and I'm not leaving a mark. We're going to go ahead and pop those in the oven. Turn your oven light on. We're going to start them out at like 10 to 15 minutes. So let's put these in the oven on the center rack. Turn your light on so you can keep an eye on them. Set your timer. I'm going to set my timer for like 12 minutes because this batch that I made, so you can see the difference in color. So I cooked these in 2 batches because I made a full batch, but see how these have a little bit of brown on them? And these are stayed pink. You don't want them to get that brown on them. And what you could do is you can put them on a center rack and you can put a cookie sheet on top and a cookie sheet on the bottom, and that will keep them from getting brown on top. These were cooked the exact same time, so your oven, I don't know if opening and close, you don't want to open and close it while they're cooking, but opening and closing and taking them in and out. They were cooked the same amount of time, and you can see the difference in the color. So it's really important to keep your eye on your oven and look at them, because if they start to brown on the edges, you want to pull those out, because the real perfect ones aren't supposed to have any discoloration on them. But they're all multicolors. It doesn't matter. But those are beautiful. Do they have any questions? So I got mine set for, I set it for 15 minutes. We got 10 more minutes on those. Let's see what else. We talked about the different kind of icings that you can put in there. We just get our preserves like a Giant or grocery store, and you get the nicer preserves that are seedless, that are smooth, and those are a big hit. These are wonderful for baby showers or wedding showers or Easter brunch or anything, because you do them in a lot of different colors, and they're supposed to be pastel colors, but you can play with them. Also, if you just use the liquid food dye, it really isn't as well as the gel food dye. So for these, you kind of want to use that gel, because the liquid really, it doesn't give it a nice soft color. It kind of gives it a weird color. So the gel food dye does a little bit better. So did everybody pop theirs in the oven? Were they ready to go in? And what's really interesting, if you leave your oven light on, you can watch it grow these little legs. I'm not sure if mine are going to grow little legs today, but theirs should grow little legs. And that's how you can tell that they're rising properly, is when they get the little legs. So we clean these out, get all the stuff out of there, and then just pop them away. Actually, no. So when they come out, they're really not hot. So when they come out, they are on the parchment paper. So I just take the parchment paper and put it onto a cooling rack. And you're going to lift the parchment paper, and they're just going to peel off. They should pop right off. Like if they're cooked at the right temperature for the right amount of time, they're not going to stick at all. Sometimes they stick a little bit, so you don't want to take a spatula and shove them because you're going to crack the bottom. So you just want to take them and peel them from the parchment paper, and you peel it away when they come out of there. So and use your hands. You could delicately try to do it, but I just find if you're going to use a spatula, maybe use one for a fish or something. I think we have one here. Yeah, like a real light kind of spatula like this, because they're so delicate. And if they're on the parchment paper, you can peel them and you can just slide it a little, or even like go like that to try to, but you just want to be really delicate about it because they just crack so much. They crack so easily. Do you guys want to taste one? You want to taste one, Riley? Give one to Gwen. There you go. And the other thing about making them small, like you can even make them smaller than this. When you bite into them, they really do disintegrate in your hand, so sometimes it's like better if you make them bite-sized, you can just pop it in your mouth. Little crunchy, little chewy. They're not overly sweet, but the cookie itself is overly sweet. So if you use a lot of sweetness in your filling, you can only eat about one or two. Because it's just, tastes okay? With the whipped cream. Tastes a little better. I'm going to check on ours. And I'm not opening the oven. No feet yet, but they're starting to. There we go. This other stuff out of the way. Put our glass back. So hopefully yours will turn out like that. You can see where there might have been a bubble or any imperfection. These were made, this was the exact same batch. Sometimes when they come out, you'll see this wrinkly stuff on here like that. So just turn it over, right? You want to put your ugly or your imperfect cookies on the bottom. They were all baked at the exact, and this is why you want to put it on convection. They were all baked in the same oven at the same time, but you're still going to have heat differences from the front to the back of your oven. And so you'll get some of those little crinkly spots on there. But you want to put your pretty ones on top.
So thank you so much to Miss Kelly for sharing that recipe with us. No Thyme to Cook is such a cool place. They offer all kinds of cooking classes. I know virtual. I think they're doing hybrid classes as well. So if you enjoyed that, I definitely encourage you to go check them out. I know that Gwen Novak, the chef owner of No Thyme to Cook, also recently released a cookbook called How to Cook for Beginners. So that might be something you want to check out as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, keep an eye on all of Calvert Library's social media feeds for more fun videos like this. Have a great day.